take a look at problem number 20. This is a factoring problem. So let's refresh our memory in factoring. Okay. Our first method of factoring is GCF. And this is greatest common factor. Now you always try to do this method. Doesn't mean it always works, but you try to do it. The next one is grouping. And this is when you have 4 or more terms. Third one is PSD. And this is when it's of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Superscript. There we go. The fourth one is key number. And that's when you got the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And then fifth method is the difference two squares. And this is when you got two terms with a minus between them. Now there's a sixth one and seventh one. Sixth one is difference of two cubes. And this was when you got two terms with a minus between them. And the seventh one, which is the sum of two cubes, which is two terms with a plus between them. Now, on the PSD and key number, the key part on that is that, like on PSD, you have an x squared, x, no number before the x squared. Now, you can have any variable there. Don't have to have x's. For the key number, the important part there is you have an x squared, x, no x, and there's a number before your x squared. So let's look at this problem. Number 20. And I got 20x squared minus 28x to the fifth. Now, looking ahead at the answers, I see what they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and work it the way they're implying, and then I'm going to go back and talk about how I'd probably really do it in class. Okay, so GCF, greatest common factor. I notice they have something in common. 20 and 28 are both least divisible by 4. And I can factor out some x's. This one has 2 x's, this one has 5 x's. I can't factor out 5 x's if this one only has 2. So you always go with the one with the smallest power. So factor out an x squared. Well, 20 divided by 4 is 5. I had 2 x's, I pulled both of them away, so they're both gone. Minus 28 divided by 4 is 7. I had 5 x's, took 2 of them away, so I'm left with 3 x's. 4x squared, 5 minus 7x to the third. Looks like D is in David. Let's go back and check that. So 20D. And that checks. Okay. Now what don't I like about this? Typically, if you follow this, you're going to find it causes you less headaches than not doing it. But you want everything to be in standard form. Standard form means you go from your largest power down to your smallest power. So we'd rewrite this as negative 28 x to the fifth plus 20 x squared. And still GCF. That's what we did here is GCF. But now they're both divisible by 4, and my first term is negative. Whenever your first term is negative, you always factor out a negative also. So factor out a negative 4, and again, they both have an x squared. Negative 28 divided by negative 4 gives us positive 7. We had 5 x's. I pulled 2 away, so it leaves me 3 x's. 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5, and both those x's are gone. And this would be our answer. Now, again, that's not the way that they worked it. They didn't care about standard form. They just dived right in, so which is fine. But I wanted to point that out.